Seconds.
All right, welcome aboard, everybody. This is Mike and Firecracker, and our co-host here, Steve, Mr. Bagger Bader. And I'm going to ask everybody to forgive me now. I went to Texas and rode Softails in 70-degree temperatures last week, and I come back to Missouri, and by Saturday I was developing a cold, and I don't know if we caught something down there or if it's the travel back and the change in the weather or what. But I did get me some cough syrup mixed in with some Mountain Dew, so hopefully I can keep it at bay. But we're going to talk about Harley Davidson's latest release today, which I did get to see early in Austin, the CVO RR, and we're going to talk about some of the questions people gave us for Softails. So we're going to try to get into both of that. We have 23 people in the house. The video I did today on the CVO RR is doing pretty well. There seems to be a lot of interest, although there's a lot of people who are not, who are hating on it for the price tag and for different things and stuff. So we're going to give people a chance to ask questions. We're going to talk about it, maybe share a different perspective of, some things that I think Harley Davidson's up to that maybe people aren't paying attention to. So Steve, you watched the video today. What did you think?
Amazing. I mean, anybody that likes to go fast, and I already own a road glide, so obviously I'm a fan of the road glide. Yeah, I mean, it's got all the newest and latest and greatest materials being used to make it a very special bike, which I wish I could afford.
So we got Chase in here tonight. So everybody be nice in the chat because I got my mod Chase here. He'll put you in timeout if you're not behaving. And after the Harley Davidson launch video, we needed a few more mods to keep up with that. I was not prepared for that kind of turnout. But Dying Breed's here. Hey. Sparky said, called me a jet setter. I don't know about that, but I'm home. I'm glad to be back in the Ozarks. I did get to ride Friday afternoon when we got back for a little bit. Brian's in the house. The Wagonators are in the house. Jonesy's Ride. Skid 75. Big money. But it's a word of a kind for sure. I assume he means one of a kind for sure, or something like that. Well, numbered one of a kind. You know what I'm trying to say? Yes. So I think that's another thing. It's very limited. Some people call it race ready. It is race ready. I think the RR technically stands for race replica. I mean, they were very it's in my video, a lot of their presentation, but they were very much adamant that, other than the things they had to do to make it street legal and to make it rideable, they did very little compromises, like carbon fiber bags, all that kind of stuff. They did put the infotainment center and everything else in it. They want this to be a bike you can get on and tour on, but still have that very close to racetrack performance level.
I think they said they lowered it a little bit compared to the race bike, but that's understandable.
Well, so they talked about that, and they told us a story about that. When they started doing King of the Baggers 4 years ago, they reached out to Öhlins, and they're like, we need this bike to be a foot taller. We need suspension, blah, blah, blah. We want to raise this up a foot so we can get more lean angle. And Öhlins was like crickets. I don't even, respond to them or whatever. And then a year later, after they won the first King of the Baggers race, 3 races, but they saw the interest in it, they sent them a drawing. They said, were you talking about something like this? So that was very cool that, they recognized it and Öhlins got on board with it and stuff. But yeah, this bike is 2 inches taller than the factory Road Glide ST CVO, but it's 10 inches or 12 inches shorter than the actual race bike, which,
Wow.
Those things, if you've ever stood next to one, they're crazy. I mean, they basically roll these things and hop on them and go, they're not sitting at a stoplight, trying to balance this thing and, ready to take off. So Firecracker, that you got a hello in there tonight. Have you even watched the video? Do you even really know the specs on this thing or anything about it?
Nope, I just seen the pictures.
So
Mike, it's not purple, so she didn't care.
No, it's out of my budget. So,
well, and I get that it is out of the budget for a lot of people, but it's not. I mean, they're not trying to sell these to everybody. These are hand built, not assembly line, hand built, 131. For those who didn't know, there was a premiere last night for limited people. Dealers got codes and could invite people to watch this thing last night to know about it last night and then call if they wanted to order it. So, and only the dealers that are going to get one could do that. So they basically did like a pre-sales event last night, and that's why the pictures leaked last night all over Facebook. So, AB, I can't believe how inexpensive it is. He's going to order too.
Well, I mentioned to you, Mike, I've customized 2 Harleys. It's expensive. There's no other way around it. I mean, especially when you start messing with the motor, you start jacking up that motor, because I understood it correctly that it's a 131, but it's stage 4. So
yeah, it's the 131R. So it's Screaming Eagle parts, all the stuff, 150 horse, 153 foot-pounds, or 153 horsepower, 150 foot-pounds of torque, with the 2-year warranty still. So they're going to warranty that big motor for 2 years.
I mean, that motor alone's 15, 20 grand.
So Chase says it's about the same cost as owning a Ducati for 20,000 miles.
Yeah, but you're not going to get laid on the Ducati.
Sparky, you're getting an advertisement? Huh. I'll have to look into that. I usually have monetization turned off on live stream, so we don't have ads during the live stream. Maybe something got changed there. Sorry about that. But this bike, they're not going to start fulfilling orders till like May, and they're hand built. And they had this thing last night, so you got to imagine they're probably only going to build them as they get the orders for them. It's not like they're going to have a bunch of them sitting around unsold. I mean, there might be a little bit of that here and there, but not a lot.
I got a question for you.
Did you catch in the video that this thing only takes 3 size sockets to take it apart?
Yeah.
An 8, 10, a 12 millimeter, no matter what the pitch thread is. So can you imagine having to custom make all those bolts that are going to be one of those 3 sizes throughout this entire bike, no matter what thread it is? Because they're using the same standard American threads and everything else, but you can take it apart with an 8, 10, and a 12.
And I think they mentioned it's all stainless steel bolts.
Yeah, they're whatever they are. My dad's trying to call. I'm in the middle of a live stream, Pop.
Papa, don't preach.
He probably has something he's going to tell me about this. Like, that some bitch is too expensive. But,
he's probably calling to tell you he's got one ordered for you.
So
yeah.
So Firecracker, you got to watch the Daytona race last year. What'd you think of the King of the Baggers race after watching one in person? Did you think it was pretty cool? Were you pretty excited about it?
Yeah, I mean, I like watching anything like that.
Right. So this is, I mean, can you imagine if you owned a racetrack and you could buy one of these, and then you could have special events, and for $1,000 you can take it for a lap, to your rich friends. I mean, I could see things like that happening. I could see somebody like Teddy Morris, who the Daytona destination has like a big museum upstairs and stuff, and that's like a VIP experience. Well, what if now that museum contained one of these bikes in it, as well as these rare antique bikes he's collected and stuff? I mean, I could see that as being something for that aspect of it.
We obviously we don't have the same budget as other people have, but 131 of these bikes, I think they're going to sell out quick. I really do. When we go to Sturgis, and on the way up there, as I'm riding, and I see these $1 million buses, these coaches with a, $300,000 trailer behind it. And there's tons of them heading to South Dakota. So there's some money in this genre, and I think they're going to sell out pretty quick.
Yeah, Brian mentioned that some of them are drilled and wired, and that is true. That's like a safety thing in certain areas. Somebody mentioned doing a group ride to a King of the Baggers race. That would be really cool. We're going to do a group ride actually at Spring Fling to raise some money for a charity. Anybody that's going to Spring Fling, if you're there on Friday, I'd love for you to join us. But Jay says it's cheaper than an OCC bike in 2005 and probably better made. I said the last part.
I've owned an OCC bike. I can promise you it's way better.
AB liked the Fat Boy I rode. It was nice. I guess on the RR, what I would like for people to maybe think about, a couple of things. Me and Steve were talking about this before the show started. Steve, what'd you bring up about the parts?
Well, they made mention, I watched a lot of videos today, all the press releases of all the other guys that were at that event with you. And it appears that they're going to, if this goes well, if it sells quickly, they're going to make some of these parts accessible as aftermarket parts.
Yeah, so Matt Laidlaw asked a question specifically about if that suspension was available. And they said, we can't talk about future products, but the suspension you're seeing on this bike is not the suspension that was just put into the parts and accessories catalog at the beginning of this 2025 year. So again, it means there could be more parts, more suspension, more brakes, more other things that you could use to beef up your bike, put in this suspension or put on these brakes or things like that. You wouldn't be going the whole 110,000, but if you're really into, performance and you want to, road race with your Ducati buddies, there you go.
Hey, Mike, I think I mentioned maybe briefly to you. So I'm in a chat group with a bunch of guys that I ride with, and they were like, why didn't they use the 135 if this is going to be their big race bike? Why the 131? And I think you had an answer, but
well, I'd have to go back and read the rules again. I haven't read them in a few years ago, but when King of the Baggers first came out, like the very first season, I read the unofficial rules of what they were proposed that they were going to do for these 3 races. And I did a whole video on it, and there was limitations on the cubic inches of the motors and if they were air cooled or water cooled. So for example, Indian runs a smaller engine than Harley does for displacement, but They can't step up and run the same displacement as long as they're running a water cooled engine. If Harley runs a water cooled engine, they have to, reduce the cubic inch back to this other category and be more competitive with Indian. But if Indian wants to run water cooled and run higher compression and all the things that come along with that, then they can. But the idea was to keep those motors more competitive because it's not just about cubic inch. You start doing water cooled engines, look at the 1250 Rev Max platform, 150 horsepower out of that 1250. That 1250 is like 76 cubic inches.
Right.
You still have ads.
Yeah, I don't think I can change it once we're started. I might try and hop over and see if I can do that. If I can change that, I don't know. But Jay said 131 is the cap displacement for the King of the Baggers. Like, it's pretty much what I thought. Yep. Damn ads keep cutting you off. Let's
God damn ads.
See, I don't know if I can get into studio and change that.
What sucks for the viewer is when those ads come on, that's when Firecracker keeps lifting her top up.
Yeah, they keep missing it.
Yeah.
Poor bastards.
Yeah.
Just keep clicking through the ads, guys. Keep clicking through the ads. You'll get to see it. So the other thing that I think people need to maybe catch on to and maybe not have seen is, so Steve, do you know about MotoGP much? I mean, you know what it is, right?
I don't know much about it. I'll be honest.
So MotoGP is like motorcycle racing that the rest of the world watches. Sport bikes, that kind of stuff. And there are races last year. So at COTA in Austin, they did Circuit of America. They had a MotoGP race there, and Harley did a King of the Baggers race kind of mixed in. So they did it in conjunction with that. So people that came to see MotoGP got to watch a King of the Baggers race. Well, in November, they did an exhibition King of the Baggers at a track in Spain. So the race team was James Rispoli. I don't know if Kyle was there or not, but I think James was. I follow them both. It's really cool actually getting to follow these guys that I've got to meet and ride with. But James was at this event, I think in Spain, and they did like a King of the Baggers exhibition race. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, redneck here. Anyway, they did this exhibition race at a MotoGP race, and MotoGP racers rode the King of the Baggers bikes and then like were interviewed and talked about what they thought, and they were all surprised how fast it was and how well it handled and all of these things,
Cool.
even though it was a great big bagger and stuff. So if somebody knows more about MotoGP than me, feel free to chime in here or tell me if I get anything wrong. But as I understand it, the guy who's like in charge of MotoGP or involved in it now or something, there's been some kind of change, and he's US based, and he wants to get more MotoGP going in the US and get more involvement. So what I see happening, Harley's making a play for the MotoGP crowd. They want to get their bikes in front of that crowd, in front of that audience. I'm not saying they want to race MotoGP, but they want to have exhibition races, or they want to have a round at a MotoGP race here and there occasionally, that kind of thing, and show the world what these big baggers can do and build more international excitement around that. So MotoGP is like, big deal. So they need to show, this is like another way they can show the world like, hey, we can build this. We can do this. I mean, like we were talking earlier, this is like saying I got the biggest swinging dick in the yard.
No, I don't know, but
in the bagger world,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, no,
so Chase loves him some MotoGP, so maybe he can tell us. But I saw a lot of comments that this was like Harley taking a big swing, showing some swagger,
cool.
Telling Indian, look, we can sell 131 motorcycles at $110,000, and they'll sell, and it's kind of I can do this. I can pull this off. Now,
it's great marketing.
And somebody said that this is the kind of things that are going to make them go bankrupt. But you think about it, all the R&D for this was already done for the race platform. They didn't have to do a lot of R&D or anything else. They got to take what they already learned and build basically a you order it and we'll build it bike.
And it might make it more cost effective down the road for them to build the actual race bike.
Yeah. So now let's take the other side of this. I mean, I looked at the money a little bit. These bikes retail at MSRP $110,000. They may go for more than that or less than that, but Harley's not going to make more money than what the MSRP is based off of, because if the dealer jacks it up, the Harley doesn't get any share of that. Right. They're so I would guess that there's no way they're making more than $25,000 per bike at $110,000. No way. Just with they talked about that the rotors are $600 each. There's 3 of them. There's $2,000. The brakes, the forks, all these things, the motor, all that stuff. There was a post on a Dyno Tune site where a guy has had some experience building race bikes. And he threw some numbers out there, and he was close to $80,000 or $90,000 in the build. He said, I would expect this costs that if you were to go buy these components and try and build that. Yeah. Maybe Harley can do it a little cheaper, but you got to remember they're also working with partners on this.
I was going to say Brembo.
They're not just they're not just like making everything in house and they get all the profit. So what's wrong with taking R&D you already got, making a race bike and selling it if people will buy it? If they could, as long as they're not got a bunch of them sitting on the floor, then what's it hurting? And I like it to the Corvette world. I'm not a big Corvette guy, but you can buy a base Corvette for like $70,000, assuming you can get it for MSRP. What do you think a ZR1 Corvette costs? $175,000. Yeah, and they sold less than 3,000 of them last year, 2,000 or 3,000. So I don't see everybody screaming, "Oh, Chevy, quit that! That's terrible! Don't do that."
Right.
I mean, me and Monkey were talking at the press event, and Harley Davidson has the worst goddamn customers in the world because we bitch about everything. We bitch if they make it. We bitch if they don't make it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. I think it's a home run. This is the direction that the bagger world is going in. And, I know I've tried to make mine faster. And, Why not, man? Let's just make the ultimate bad boy.
Well, and see, like Love, Live, Ride, Eat, he said they're probably not making a dime. When the time you do all the marketing, the promotion, all this stuff's not cheap.
Yeah.
They only have made 2 bikes so far. I have seen the only 2 in existence. They only had a budget. The race team had to pay for out of their budget for the first 2 prototypes. So the ones you're seeing in these demos and stuff are the only 2 that have been made yet to date. And then they'll make them to order probably as they come. They didn't say they'd make them to order, but they said they wouldn't start shipping till May, and they're taking orders now. So what's that tell you?
Oh, hey, one thing I was thinking about, if I'm Kyle Wyman, I'm like, hey, number 1's mine. The one he got to race around the track. I'd be like, that one's
Kyle
coming home
Wyman
to daddy.
Kyle Wyman's probably just saying, I'm taking my race bike home with me at the end of the season. Because I can guarantee you his race bike's not 150 horse.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit speeds of like 180. This bike, I'm sure, is speed limited as well. They said in the video last night, 125 mile an hour, because the tires are only rated for 130. I talked to someone at Harley one time, and they have to limit them to what the tires are limited to for liability reasons. Sure. They can't let you go 150 on a bike they sell you with tires that are only rated for 110.
Right.
Yeah, and there's people that have gotten $100,000 budget to go buy money. I mean, I asked this question on Facebook, but I said, if I won the lottery, wouldn't you buy one? I know I would. And a lot of people said no, and that's okay. But, me and Steve would be at the dealership fighting in the fucking parking lot over it.
I have to change my pants a couple of times, but I'd be there.
Yep. So, JS,
I got a question for you, Mike.
Mustang, AMG, Hennessy Raptor of the Harley Davidson. Yeah, there's plenty of high dollar shit out there that most of us can't afford.
Yeah.
What you got, Steve?
So in your video, it looked like that bike was red, but then when I saw it in other videos outside, especially, it looked orange.
I believe it's red. I believe it's red.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's red.
Okay.
Steve Russell said he would have one. So I guess me and you are going to have to fight Steve, but somebody's going to have to hold his gun hand or we're going to lose. Because I've seen what he packs.
Damn it, Steve. You always got to cheat.
Skid said, heck yeah, if I won a lottery, I'm buying one. And so I think we just got to remember, like, not to be too hard on the motor company just because this bike isn't for us.
Yeah.
It's not meant for us unless we're somebody out here in my audience is super rich. And if they are, and you get one, I'd love to ride it for content.
I'm not going to buy a Sportster. I'm not going to buy a Sportster either.
Right.
Yeah.
So Brian, they mentioned that the belt drive and the race bike is chain, and that is true. And the reason they did that is because they want this to be something that the average guy can maintain and ride. And if they want you to be able to tour across the country. And if you've tried to tour on a bike with a chain, you're cleaning it, you're oiling it, you're getting oil all over the bike, you're doing all those things. There's a reason why most tour bikes don't have chains. This is not a 100% exact replica of the race. It's a race replica intended to be street legal.
I've heard a lot of different things about belt drive versus chain, and I've got a belt on my bike. It's got a 124 S&S in it, stage 3, and you've ridden it. It's fast. That belt, man, it hangs no problems. So
Steve says, I'm going to test ride one of my dreams tonight. I'll let you know how it goes. Somebody said, I heard Harley was going to get Pro Monkey one. Well, the news to me, he was, the night they released, he was talking about selling the Denali and pulling the camper with the 4-cylinder Toyota. By morning he'd sobered up enough to say, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So, either way, I think it's a very cool concept from Harley Davidson. And I don't think this is the kind of thing that's going to bankrupt them because I think they're doing it the right way. I don't think, like from the video, I don't think people knew that they've only built 2 of them and they're taking orders now and they're going to start delivery in May. And I noticed little things like when we were talking about, they would say they would not develop or produce more than 131 units. They didn't say they would produce 131 units. They said more than, which means if they only get an order for 100, they're probably going to make 100. They just set a cap on it to make it ultra exclusive.
I'm thinking too that, you know, if they mass produced them, they'd have to put them on their you know, on the assembly line, which I would imagine there's a cost to do that, to set it up for this particular bike. The fact that they're not doing that and they're going to make them, you know, by hand tells you that they're probably doing this the correct way, the most cost effective way.
Chase is getting really personal here. He wants shaft drive for life.
Chase, it's a good thing you're married to a beautiful woman, because
we're trying to keep this PG, Chase. Do you think HD is using it as a marketing device for newer SE parts? I think there's going to be parts coming down the road that are going to be related to this bike. I think they're using this for MotoGP. I think they're using this for racing. I mean, they were when they did the presentation, I cut some of the stuff out of the video just to keep it as interesting as possible, but they thanked the marketing team. They thanked Teo and other people for supporting the build of this. This took, from what I understand, as much as people may hate the CEO, he backed this and he pushed this to get approval, and stuff. So don't like him, whatever. I don't care. In the end, this was a very big team effort by Harley Davidson as a corporation to put this thing together. And I think it was a cool thing. I mean, I was impressed with seeing it in person. It's like a lot of other things I tell people, go see it before you judge it. It's like the new bikes. People were hating on them. I had a guy hating on one in a comment, and he was just kind of railing on it. And I said, "You're just ranting. Tell me what you don't like." Yeah. And he ended up rereading his comment, and he deleted it because he said, he emailed me and said, "Yeah, you were right. I was just ranting. Here's my problems." And he emailed me and told me his problems, and I kind of countered, and I said, "Have you rode one yet?" And he said, "No." I said, "Go ride one, and then come back and tell me what your problems were." 2 weeks later, he emailed me. He was taking delivery in 2 weeks of his new bike after riding one. And they're not for everyone, and that's fine. Yeah. But, I'm going to tell you what, I rode the Softails in Austin, and I would love to be able to afford to put my wife on a new Softail of her choice. We did an exercise down there, and if you watched my video this weekend on it, where they did a traction control exercise. They had outriggers on this bike. We got it in the dirt on top of pavement and got into it without traction control on and with traction control on, so you could feel the differences and stuff. And the traction control cornering, which is new for the 2024s this year, really was impressive how well it works. I mean,
2025.
2025 models had the cornering ABS and cornering traction control. But it was really impressive how well it worked. I'd love for my wife to have one just because it makes it safer, for her. For me, I don't care about my own safety as much as I care about hers.
How close?
So carbon fiber bags on the SG coming in spring. Just you watch. So that was another thing. They talk about this carbon fiber that's in the bags and the fairing and everything else. But it's not just carbon fiber. It's like a Kevlar carbon fiber weave. It's made by the same guys that make all the carbon fiber parts for NASCAR. They went to them to develop all this. And they were talking about in a NASCAR wreck how a car had flipped and slid down the runway on its roof on carbon fiber and how tough it was. And this is the same product they're using in their production of these bikes. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could get into with this that they told us that just is really impressive.
Yeah. I heard Kyle talking about those Brembo brakes, and man, he couldn't say enough good things about it. How good they stop, and how much better they are than stock. And
Chase says April's the next in line to get the RGRR.
Yeah, right.
They're custom making you one in purple. I heard about it through the through the
She needs a new Softail for sure. I already have a call in to Harley Davidson. I mean, these are the perks. I mean, a lot of people think that YouTubers get a lot of stuff for free. I was flattered to be invited to Austin to ride the bikes and everything else, but it's work too. My wife will tell you there's a lot of evenings I'm in here working. I got up at 3 a.m.
A lot. It's every night. I'm in
I
the
got up
living
on
room
Friday.
and he's in the bedroom.
I've
I got
called
up on
your ass at
Friday.
11 in the morning and you've been busy.
Yeah. I got up at 3 a.m. on Friday, flew back, landed at the airport, got in my vehicle, drove 2 hours to get home, went to work, and worked for 5 hours. And I didn't take the day off just because I had to get up at 3 a.m. and travel back because I don't want to give up my vacation time. I'm working stiff like everybody else. But, it was really neat that, like, I could ask them questions. I mean, I rode in the back of the pack, which is unusual for me. You can ask Firecracker. I'm always lead bike, almost always, 99% of the time. And so I got to ride in the back and see the tail lights and the turn signals on the other bikes in front of us. And I really like the new LED lighting on the new Softails all the way around. And, I asked him, I said, like, can we take that and put it on her Sport Glide? Can I retro that to an older model? And they got to talk to the electrical engineers because there's like a whole new electrical system for this with the all LED lighting. But I'm sure it can be done. I mean, custom dynamics lights go on older models. They have to do some balancers and some things like that. But we got my mate military biker in the house here, man. Yeah, I did enjoy the few days away, but I mean, I didn't watch a bit of TV. It's not like we're sitting around the room or anything else. I mean, we're busy from 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. I mean, you get a break here after riding for an hour or two to download your cameras, take a shower, wash the dust off. Then you go have dinner on a bus. And because we're being bused, we got to wait on the bus to pick us up and drop us off and, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, they took good care of us. Absolutely. And it was a real honor to get to go do this again. But it's really
Mike.
cool to me that I get to ask, that I turned ads off, Chase. That's why you're not getting ads. I got in there and did that a minute ago for everybody.
Hey, were you telling
somebody
me
else is saying somebody else? Sparky said he was still getting them.
Damn it! I turned them off. I promise.
Oh, hey, somebody's bringing up Hideout Harley Davidson.
Yes, I did see that, Josh. I even messaged Nick about it, and of course, we were, he said he was sorry to hear that for the staff there and stuff like that. But yeah, me and Monkey did enjoy happy hour, and he started that. That's all his fault. He's the one that changed my order from a single to a double. I swear, and I'm sticking to it. But yeah, Hideout's closing. For those of you in the Ozarks, Hideout Harley Davidson in Joplin is probably going to have some stuff on sale. Might be a place to pick up a bike or whatever else. Last day is March 31st. So I expect they'll be clearing some stuff out of there. Hey, Brandon, man, it was a great experience. Good to see you in the chat tonight. Brandon's here in the Ozarks as well. Thank you, mate. Videos were great. Yeah. Sparky is getting Firecrackers ads, LOL. $1 million Bogan called Matt Laidlaw and placed his order. Well, that's great because they're only sold in the U.S. So I mean, that's cool if he did. That means Matt's got his sold because we were sitting at the dinner table and Matt was a little concerned if it was going to be California compliant.
I think $1 Million Bogan's too busy sailing around on his yacht he bought.
Is that what he's doing these days? I haven't seen any videos from him in a while.
Yeah, he's gone. He's changed his platform to sailing. He bought a catamaran.
So Skids lives outside of Dallas. Hill Country's where it's at down here. Been there a few times, and as a Ozark native, I love it. It reminds me of home. Yeah, it's very cool. There's Lime Rock Road or something like that. Somebody asked me if we rode that. I looked it up on the map they gave us. That was one of the roads we rode around Lake Travis and stuff. It's very, very cool. Yeah, Sparky, I don't know what happened to Hideout. They didn't explain why. They just said March 31st was the end of the road for them, closing the doors.
Oh, hey, Mike, a lot of times we talk and we see in chats, that, hey, these suits up at corporate HD don't know what the hell's really going on. But did you tell me that some of these boys could ride?
Yeah, I mean, you asked Monkey. You can go back and watch his video too. It was his first time going. I've rode with some of these guys, but like Paul James is one of the guys we ride with. And I knew from following him on Instagram, he was into racing and stuff. I didn't realize he's been doing like AMA racing for like 20 years, but Paul, I liked it when Paul led the group because it was, we'll say, more entertaining. But I mean, like so Cody Wyman led the group for a while. I rode behind Cody. Cody's the youngest brother between Travis and Kyle, and he rides for Kyle's team in the Super Hooligan this year. I posted a picture of him. I highly encourage everybody to follow KWR Racing. That's Kyle Wyman Racing. And Cody. Cody's running the Hooligan races on the Pan America. But these guys are Kyle and Cody and Travis are all great guys and stuff. Just like normal people, sit and have dinner. We talk smack. Me and Cody talked about the racetrack at the Ozarks and things like that. He's heard about it, and I showed him my buddy Bowman's Ducati, and stuff like that. These guys ride race bikes. They ride fast bikes. They ride for Harley and they're proud to ride for Harley, but they've rode other bikes in the past on other teams and things. So, but yeah, these guys can ride. I mean, when a professional racer is leading the pack, don't think he can't ride. And the gals are right there. One of the gals on the PR team, one night they asked her, well, what bike she rides, and she said she had 11 bikes, including a track bike that's track only, like not street legal track bike.
Shit.
She worked in the past in kind of the social media and press game and stuff before coming to Harley. I don't want to say anything that I don't want to share anything I shouldn't, but these guys and gals are riders. They ride. They own bikes. They ride bikes. These are they're not all corporate suits. I mean, I've rode with Teo at Sturgis, and Paul and Matt, and they are passionate about the brand as much as we are. They just probably have better intel to make decisions on than we do. We get to backseat drive and pitch a lot.
Right. Hey, Jay asked a question. I'm going to ask a stupid question. He said something, about the Hooligan series, which you've gotten me kind of on. I like the looks of those bikes. Could they incorporate the Hooligan races in with the King of the Bagger races, or are the tracks not set up for them?
Oh, they are incorporated. Like we watched Hooligan races. Yeah, we watched Hooligan race. I don't know if they're at every single track, but they were Hooligan races going on at Daytona, same as King of the Bag.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I just want to give a shout out to the champion for the Hooligan series last year, because he lives in Eureka Springs. His name is Corey West, and he's an Ozark boy. So the champion from the Super Hooligans lives in the Ozarks. He just had, I think, a child last year and stuff. His wife and him both. She used to race before she got pregnant. And I think last year she was like part of the team, strategy and leadership and things. But Pig Trail Harley Davidson posted the other day with Corey West, and he's going to do he does adventure guided rides around Northwest Arkansas, and he's going to be doing some of that with Pig Trail Harley Davidson, which I thought was very cool. So if you want to get into adventure riding and that kind of stuff, you want to, they probably have a Pan America you can rent and go ride with Corey West. That would be pretty bitchin'. Hey, Salty Man.
Yeah, that'd be way cool.
So AB says he's going to buy the RR and send it to Alberta for the military biker. I want whatever he's drinking.
I like somebody said they went number 1 and number 131, and I thought to myself, if I couldn't get number 1, I'd probably prefer 131.
Oh, that would probably cost a little extra. There's going to be certain numbers that dealers get that they're. I mean, I know a dealer that traded one of the ones they had to another dealership because they wanted that number. Their customer wanted that number. It was whether it was their lucky number or whatever, it meant something to them.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Our man Bowman's in here, so I just wanted Bowman. If he didn't hear me earlier, I was telling Cody Wyman, who runs the Super Hooligan race, about your airstrip attack in your Ducati while we were sitting on the bus going to dinner. So we bonded over Ducatis and racing. Yeah, Pig Trail's doing a BDR in a week or two. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on BDR event. Check out Moto America for all of the races on YouTube. And I've got to look into this because law-abiding biker Ryan was telling us that if you're a hog member, you can get a discount on Moto America Live, so you can watch live and stuff. So AB wants number 69. I knew that was coming.
I want 71. Some kind of kinky.
I went 68. 69, somebody blows a rod. Who was the best at the sandpaper slide? Well, Ryan and Robert were probably the bravest just because they are trained moto instructors and stuff, and they were pretty confident. And like, it's instinct that, when you get into a bike and the back end breaks loose, at least for me, it's instinct to let go, to get off of it. Even
Right.
though, you're safe and you got outriggers on and everything else, it's just hard to break that instinct. These things, like they told us not to put your feet down, let it fall over on the outrigger because there's bars down there by your ankles. And they don't want you getting a broken ankle. I was the guy that put my foot down the first time. I couldn't do it. Instinct that you got to be like, and they pounded it into us, feet on the pegs, feet on the pegs, feet on the pegs, feet on the pegs, first rule, feet on the pegs. And I still took my foot off. It's one of those things. And if you've been doing that for 50 years, 40 years, it's hard to not do that. But I would say probably outside of the Harley Davidson safety engineer, Ryan or Robert probably did the best job of getting into it and staying into it, because you had to get into it while the bike was leaned. Not what a lot of people did was had a tendency to come out of the turn, stand the bike up straight and get into it. And you really had to like keep it kind of the way they didn't have they had the dirt at the end of a turn, not in the turn. Mm-hmm. So you had to kind of force yourself to stay down in the turn as you come out of it and not let the bike come up to really get it into the slide.
Now, is Ryan law-abiding biker?
Yes.
And then Robert's the black guy that was a cop or something?
They're both moto cops. I don't know if they're both still active. I know Ryan is, but they're both trained motor cop instructors.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. I mean, they're trained in all that sort of stuff.
So, Sparky, that was a demonstration for the traction control cornering system on the new Softails. Harley Davidson is now calling it RSE, Rider Safety Enhancements, instead of Rider Reflex System, which, I just wish they'd pick a name and stay with it. Give me an acronym and hold steady. But has anybody got any questions about the new Softails and my thoughts on them? I am going to say right off the bat, the things I liked most were the safety enhancements, the rider modes, being able to change modes, things like that. And the LED lighting was great like I said, I was in the back, so I got to see the lights from both ends. Sometimes I was in the front and I could see them in my mirrors, but lighting was good. It was very visible. I liked the styling and the looks. Suspension was supposed to be improved. I don't know that I'm a good judge of the suspension because I don't ride a Softail all the time, but I liked the lighting. I liked the safety enhancements. I liked the sport modes. And those were definitely all like big pluses to the platform. And of course, they're all 117s. Lowrider ST comfy seat. I didn't get as much time in the Lowrider ST as I did the Lowrider S, but the Lowrider S and I think the ST are the same seat, and I found them both to be fine. I rode the Lowrider S for hours on the last day. The ST, they didn't have as many of them, and it was hard to get in there. And there was a couple other people who wanted to get a video on them, and I did get to ride a little bit, just not as much as I'd like.
Did you say the Breakout was your favorite?
It was my favorite on the first day. That was between the Breakout, the Fat Boy, and the Street Bob. And like I said, all of these things, are not, my opinion is based on my riding characteristics, my size, things like that. The Street Bob is not a good fit for me. It's too much cramp in the hips. The pegs are too high for the low seat height. The Lowrider S and Lowrider ST, I think, has a little taller seat height, so I wasn't as cramped. I didn't have that as much bend in my hip.
Did you feel that each bike gave you a little bit different ride, a little something different? Or did you feel like they were kind of the same bike?
Very much they have designed, and that's part of why they did the engine variants, to give each bike kind of a different characteristic and personality. And I do think that's probably still very prevalent, even though they're all 117s.
Cool.
You can definitely tell the Lowrider S and Lowrider ST were hopped up. They've got a bigger cam and stuff. We did not adjust the suspension, Brian. A lot of times this is like, we're content creators. We are not the best riders in the sense of like obeying all the rules. The light turns red. Somebody gets off and trades bikes with somebody else. Somebody grabs a camera from somebody else. Somebody swaps position. I will say I learned this last year. A lot of them prioritize over making content over other things, and that's what they're there for. And so I've learned how it works. And everybody was very good though about like helping each other film and do stuff, and it was very cool. I actually was pretty comfortable on the breakout. I rode it, forward controls. I like it. The bars are not my favorite. The gauge is not my favorite setup on it. But I was probably, definitely more comfortable on it than the Street Bob. And the Fat Boy was good for comfort. The Fat Boy and the Breakout both had that big ass rear tire. And I feel like the Breakout handles better than the Fat Boy and the Twisties. And I think it's because the Fat Boy also has a big front tire. So you're fighting both tires. And the term we used down there was you have to be committed. You got to commit to those turns on the Fat Boy more than you do on something like the Street Bob. It'll drop in easy. The Fat Boy, you got to kind of be pretty deliberate with it. Mm-hmm. Yep, the Lowrider ST and the Lowrider S both have the new 511 cam that's in the CVO ST. Cooling in the heads, cleaned up the heads a lot, yes. I'd love to have a Lowrider S or ST with forward controls. Me too. If I was going to have one, I would change that because I'm. A lot of people think that mid controls make the bike more, agile and handling. But to be honest, the bikes are probably capable of anything we want to put them through, whether it's forward controls or mids, unless you're a professional racer and you're really scraping shit all the time. I did watch Ryan scrape floorboards and stuff on the Heritage and the Fat Boy just to do it, just to show. But yeah, and like Spark said, I don't like the rake and trail of the Breakout. Everybody, these bikes are not intended to meet the needs of every single person. That's why they're different.
That's a good thing in my book.
Yeah, Does the CVO RR have a speed governor? I am sure the answer to that is yes. They said 125 mile an hour in the video. When we were there, they told us they would have the top speed lined out by Tuesday, which they did. I think they took it to Daytona and got it up on the track, but the tires are only rated 130 and they want to be underneath that. So I think 125 is where they've kind of set that, but I'm sure it's speed limited, not my 117. If I didn't have a speed limiter, I'm sure would do 125 because I can do 107 in fourth gear.
Bragger.
Yeah. So Firecracker, what do you think of the new 2025 Softails? You've just been sitting here listening to mostly me talk. Do you have anything positive, negative, anything you like or don't like?
I don't know until I get to take one out and ride it.
Do you have one is there one that's really catching your eye other than the ST? I'm sure that's probably be your number one pick, but
that's the only one that I would go for. That's just my personal.
She wants the audio, and she liked it at Daytona.
But it's not just the audio. I just liked it. I don't like the Heritage. I didn't like riding it. I didn't at Daytona. I made Mike switch me back to the ST. But the new ones, I don't know that we've been anywhere that I've got to see a new Lowrider ST.
So Ash put a 135 in a CVO ST and it has a governor. I think to get around that, you're going to have to change out the ECM.
Yeah.
And that's going to mean like a Thunder Max or Impact Wiring Solutions or one of those other solutions like that that's going to void your warranty. So,
yeah.
Did you just admit to speeding? I did admit to speeding in Mexico. It's just around the corner. Haven't you seen my video? I did 107 mile an hour in Mexico to show that there is a limiter on it.
Safety first, Mike.
I did that for all of you guys because I care about making the right content for you.
You know, there's a Mexico, Missouri. It's not too far from you.
The sign said "Welcome to Mexico." So I can tell you, it looked like a desert to me. Brian asked, Firecracker, what are your thoughts on the new touring bikes? Sorry about all the coughing, guys. I'll drink more.
Yeah, you should. I like them, and we've actually kind of discussed me seeing if I want to go bigger.
We still have the 16 Street Glide that she can.
Yeah, so once
test.
the weather's warmed up, we're hopefully going to take it and let me just be in a parking lot and just see if it's something I'm interested in doing. I've never really thought real hard about moving up to a bigger bike. I kind of am comfortable in what I've got now and the size, but I'm kind of getting to where I want to at least try and see if I want to move that big. My thing is with moving with a bigger one, I'm not a real big person, and I see women do it all the time, but I just myself feel like I can pretty much get my bike out of any situation, gravel or anything for the most part. And I'm afraid if I move to a bigger bike, then I'm going to be asking for help all the time. And I don't want to have to do that. So we'll see. But I do like them, especially now that they've got some purple options in it that I like. But not just for the color. I do like having all the options that you have on the bigger bikes.
So, let's see here. Throttle and Ash, somebody asked, why the 131 over the 135? That's because the race bikes are limited to a 135, and that's what's in the race bike. So that's, as a racing replica, that's why it's the 131R. Brian said, that's why I'm curious about the rate reduction features. Would you want to go to that over the Lowrider ST? I mean, I think she's just going to have to ride them and see, and that's the only way you're going to really have a good comparisons by trying them out. When she picked out the Sport Glide, we did a lot of demo rides, but we learned that demo rides are a good initial impression, but I would highly recommend like doing it over again. That if you were really going to go drop $20,000 or $30,000 on a bike, rent one for a day from Eagle Rider, from anybody else. Drop a couple $100 on one, rent it for a day, ride it all day long, and see how you really feel about it. And then you'll know. She rode after riding the Lowrider ST for a day in Daytona. She was like, "Oh, this is not as bad as I thought I was." And the mid controls originally threw her and things like that, but after a day, she's like, "I can learn to do this," and I actually feel pretty confident turning it at low speeds on the mids.
Mm-hmm.
Sparky says, face it, the Lowrider ST is just another version of the Sport Glide from a few years ago. It is just a different fairing. It truly is. And of course, it got an upgraded motor, but it's inverted front forks. It's the same frame, same suspension, and that's why I asked them. They said like the seat off the new Lowrider S or ST would fit her bike. A lot of the stuff will. The new suspension with the flat spring rates will go into her bike. I confirmed that. So we could upgrade her rear shock with an OEM shock, and it would be a little better. We wouldn't get the full effect without doing the front forks as well, which is a lot more work. But so let me ask you, April, you like the blackout look, your bike's blacked out, but that new chrome blue Lowrider ST, what do you think of it with chrome? Would you be okay with chrome?
I don't know. I mean, I like the look of the blue one, but there was another one that was, I think it was black and it had kind of just like a paint design on it. I don't remember. But anyways, the blue's okay, but I'd rather I like blacked out better, personally.
Charlie said with all the aluminum they took off that swing arm, they could make another. What I said is, okay, that swing arm, it comes out of a 220-pound block.
Yeah.
And then they shave that down. What's that thing weigh? 10, 15 pounds? 200 pounds of shavings go out of there. I want to be the guy that carries that out to the dumpster and finds the way in the back of my car to go to the recycling center.
There
200 pounds of aluminum. 202 pounds of chips. Yep. 50 days to Spring Fling, in case anybody's counting. Jay's counting. I'm going. Who all's going to Spring Fling here? I guess
don't
you're
know.
staying
I
home,
haven't.
Firecracker.
Well, I have a dilemma because if my grandbaby's not born, she's due right around there. So I told her she needed to have it before we went. So, but I plan on going. Yes, but
Contingent on grandbaby.
yeah, no, I'm going. She's gonna have it before then. I'll go
Thrall
make her
Nash
drink
said he
some
was
stuff.
jealous. He has 7 bikes, all custom builds, and never received an invite to any Harley reveals. Happy for you, bro. Thank you very much. But I mean, it's there. I don't know how they came across me. I'm just lucky. Is all I can tell you. It's been a blessing because there are a lot of channels that are bigger than me. That I mean, I've even had conversations with them. And they're like, "Yeah, I've never heard of them." So I think it's about the kind of content, the kind of thing that shows up on their radar, like doing bike reviews or talking about their launches and I'm not always flattering. I mean, if I think something's not good, I'll tell them. Me and Brad Richards had a conversation about the Street Bob's mid controls. I'm like, that seat height is too low for mid set high. And I think, he kind of talked about it that like at the time when they designed into that Street Bob, I don't think that there was no lowrider ST. They were looking for this to be the more sportier bike in the lineup. Well, now we have the lowrider S and the lowrider ST, and maybe in the future there would be a redesign of the Street Bob, and they might change that. What if they put forwards on that thing and maybe change the lean or the rake, or something, and made it look a little different and like a more chopper-ish look. So, Bowman says we'll be there Wednesday night. Brian says they're going for at least a day. Leaning towards going. Induce early.
Yeah.
I want the RR, but I need to buy 2 of them so I can sell one to keep the other. There's people that do that. I had a buddy who bought 2 shovel heads and then sold one to pay for the other one and come out even and got to keep a bike. Sometimes you can do deals like that.
I had a friend today tell me, he said, what you need to do is if they don't sell out the first 131 bikes quick enough, I think they mentioned they would do like a where you put your name in, get your name in there, and then when it comes up to you and you don't want to buy one, you sell off your spot,
your chance, your lottery.
Yeah, your lottery spot.
It's viewers like us that help make this channel successful. But we would have this channel without hosts that allows us to view them. I thank Mike, April, and Steve. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
so AB's going to sell his Bronco Raptor for one. If it's me, I just sell a kid if you can get any money for him.
Ooh.
Keep the Bronco.
Yes.
I don't have anything worth selling to buy one. My car is going to be, it's going to go until it dies. And then Mike's going to have to find me something else to drive.
Honestly, that 110 in my opinion, that 110 MSRP is really not that far off.
Yeah, I mean, it's, So Throttle said he called the dealership today regarding the CVO RR, and they're doing a $20K markup. Another dealer is doing a $40K markup. Firecracker could do feet pics. I've been telling her that, AB. I've been telling her that and telling her that. I said, I don't even care if it's your feet. Take pictures of somebody else's feet in Walmart, and post them. Whatever.
Have you seen what's in Walmart?
At the doctor's office and secretly take pictures of people's feet when they come in.
I can tell you, if I won the lottery big enough that I just didn't have to worry, then I would buy one of these bikes. But if I won the lottery where I could buy one and still be comfortable, but, it wasn't like mind-blowing amount of money, I probably
wouldn't. You want 250 instead of 250 mil, you want 250K.
I don't know that I have a need for something that big and that fast or powerful. and my husband can buy it with his part of the lottery winnings.
There you
Oh, I
go.
get
You
a
can buy
share?
one. Well, we're married, so if I win, then we split it. If you win, we split it. So
Yeah, but if you get pissed at him and you want to get away from him, he can't catch you.
yeah. No,
I
he
think the
would
fact
be
is,
able to.
I think the fact is that these bikes are probably, most of them are faster than we have balls for the
Yeah.
majority of us. I mean, I watched Ryan and them guys ride, and Cody and them guys ride, and the fact is, you've got to be pretty aggressive to get beyond what that bike is capable of.
Yeah.
Or you got to make a mistake and then expect the bike to compensate for it. Hey, Greg, thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, you can build a bike for under $60K that does the same thing, but it won't be the same thing. Yeah. And
You're not
that's
going to
kind of
build
like
it. You're not going to shave that much weight off of it, though.
I'm gonna be honest
50
with you though.
pounds.
If I'm gonna buy if I had money to buy a new bike, you know what I'd buy? Which bike did they come out with this year that I want? That we walked
Boysenberry?
into the dealers, yeah. That
Boysenberry
one
Street
or the
Glide.
Mystic. I'd buy it, and I'd buy the Mystic. What is it, Mystic?
It's Mystic
I always
Shift.
say
She'd
it
buy
wrong.
one of each.
Mystic Shift. I'd buy one of each. I'd get 2 bikes out of it.
Instead of buying the RR, she'd just buy 2 bikes.
Yeah.
Purple.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry, what were the 2 bikes?
I'd buy the Boysenberry, and I'd buy the Mystic Shift.
In what, the Lowrider ST?
No, they come in the
Street Glide?
the Boysenberry is the CVO, isn't it? Like
Boysenberry's a CVO paint job. So she'd have a CVO, and then she could have, her cheap, dirty Mystic Shift
or my Street Glide.
non-CVO. Yeah.
April, is that Mystic?
Road Glide and get one a Street Glide.
Is that Mystic Shift paint job like absolutely perfect? I mean, is that like just your dream?
I mean, it changes colors. I like that it changes colors. Personally, I could care less if it changes colors unless it just changed to all different colors of purple. That would be, but I really liked it, and it's got the purple to it, and it's kind of sparkly, and so
it's pretty.
Yeah. She doesn't care what model; she just wants that color.
Right.
No, I do care what model, but if I was going to buy,
you don't want a Road Glide?
I want a Street Glide. If I'm going bigger, I'm getting a Street Glide. So
AV's going to Thailand if he wins the lottery, but you're going to have to be careful. You're going to have to do a crotch check because you never know what you're going to end up with in Thailand, from what I hear. Don't assume.
Hey, Sailor, we love you long time.
So Softails, really had a lot of fun on those. Liked a lot of the stuff they did. I think it's a lot of incremental stuff that really, steps up the game on those. Somebody who I value on the channel and stuff, who comments all the time, said something about, why didn't the Heritage get the bigger motor when it's the kind of bike you can ride 2 up on? I think you got to realize, I mean, my Street Glide's got a 117. It's got a slightly, maybe milder version of the 117 than I have, but not a lot or whatever. But, my bike's a lot heavier than the Heritage, and I promise you, I can ride 2 up on it with no power problems. At this point, putting a stage 2 in a 117 is all about how fast you can get to the speed limiter, not how fast you can go. Because I can get to the speed limiter in 4th gear pretty damn quick.
I've given a lot of ladies rides on my old Road King. It was an 88, and it did just fine.
So, any other questions anybody got tonight? We've been at it a little over an hour, talking about the CVO RR, where it fits in the lineup, what it's here for, what Harley's doing with it.
They're kicking ass is what they're doing with it.
I did, Brian. And essentially, it came down to cost. I mean, they gave me a very diplomatic answer, but what it really comes down to, from what I can see and from what I can interpret from the different answers and stuff, is the digital gauge on like the Nightster and the Sportster S is more expensive, and that may not seem like a big deal, but right now those numbers sell pretty limited. If they did that in a much more popular model, it's probably going to have to reflect in the price. Maybe it could also be availability, from the supplier, things like that. The supplier may not be able to meet those demands if they were to put this on all of them. One of the answers I got was our customers prefer the analog looking gauges more. Another answer I got from someone was, it comes down to cost and production and things like that. Now, I try and, good or bad, I ask these questions like to individuals in casual conversation, not in the room where I get a public answer, because once I get the public answer, I'm going to get the same answer from everybody that was in the room and heard it. If I ask them individually, I might get a little different take from one individual than another. So cost and the also official answer that was, because somebody else asked in one of the meetings or one of the conversations, and they were told that customer feedback was they prefer the analog style looking gauge. Mike Bowman, what are speed limiters? I think Ducati's going to make that a new feature on their models next year. Chase, you want me to send you Kyle's number so you can put your order in? Because I put a post on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure he replied that yes, they are getting one because somebody asked.
They're going to get an RR?
I believe they are. Unfortunately, Renegade will not get one. I think there's some deal with change of ownership and limitations and things. So, and only 500 dealers are getting these. And so they were not in the running in Springfield, but I think Pig Trail maybe said that they were getting one.
I was thinking about
Kyle Johnson commented 1 hour ago. Yes. Said somebody already asked if you're going to have one. He said yes. So Chase, give Kyle a call. Put your order in. Mm-hmm. You want to see one in the flesh? It's probably going to be somebody's going to have a down payment before it comes in, and you may not get to see it. But for $110,000, you probably get to see it. If you talk real sweet to Kyle, he might let you pet it when it comes in.
We've got one dealership here in Kansas City that I think might get one, and that'd be Worth Harley Davidson. They do high volume. I thought about maybe reaching out to them in the next couple of days and see if they could give me any answers.
So, Brian, I will tell you the way they're mounted really is the breakout is the one that I felt was an afterthought. It's mounted in the center of the bar, between the bar and you, and that breaks that line and that flow of the bar, and I thought it did not look as well. I thought it looked more like an afterthought. On all the others, it's mounted more like the Sportster style was, where it's above the triple tree or the handlebar clamp, not the triple tree and stuff. And I think I like the look of that a lot better. But they really didn't have an answer for that they would kind of commit on, other than that, different bikes, they wanted to have different characteristics, so they did different things on different ones. So yes, Shadowwork says don't test ride one or you'll be looking to buy one.
So on that new bike that they brought out today, is that padding on the tank?
Yeah, it's what they call a pommel. Like on a saddle, you have a pommel. The horn on a saddle, that's called a pommel. And that's for them to lean up on, kind of like with their thigh when they're getting off the bike in the corners. That helps them have a place to position their body against it. It helps hold them in place, but it is removable.
I just noticed that. So,
and yes, Mr. Bowman, I can confirm that they are getting one. I did get a phone call asking if I was interested in the virtual event, because they were going to have a code, which means if they're going to have a code, then they were going to have a bike. So they're definitely getting one. And as of this morning, I don't think it's spoken for yet. But
Lake Harley,
Lake of the Ozarks Harley Davidson. So, but if you need to put one on reserve, you let me know. I can put you in touch with the guy. I tried to buy one today and offered to pay today the full price, and the dealer wouldn't sell it to me. Dealers only want to sell to local customers. My local dealer will not get one. Yeah, they want to sell it to their buddies, their friends, their favorites that are going to like, that are their customers that have been customers for years, that kind of thing.
Yeah. These dealerships, they know they've got, 2 or 3, 5, 10 guys earmarked, already who they're going to probably sell it to.
Throttle and Ash. I mean, if you're serious, send me an email. I don't know, but I can tell you, who to talk to that you might be able to, here in the Ozarks, you might find like, out somewhere like Lake of the Ozarks where you're not talking St. Louis and big money and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of retirement money all around Lake of the Ozarks and vacation money, but those guys don't live there all the time. So you might find you might be able to pick a bike up at a dealership like that out there away from the big metros, where they might take them a little longer to sell one.
True.
Jay said true words about it. Don't ride one unless you're going to plan on buying one. Sounds like you're doing a group spring fling ride. Yes, we are. So email is ridingintheozarks@gmail.com. So spring fling on Friday, we're going to do a group ride from Pig Trail Harley Davidson to Eureka Springs Harley Davidson to raise money for Grandma's House, which is a children's advocacy center in Berryville. So we're going to raise money for kids. It's not a lot of money. We're keeping the price down, $10 a head. They do want our Pig Trails organizing this, and they do want you to, sign up in advance to guarantee your spot and things like that. It's not a lot of money though, and it's going to all proceeds go to a charity. We'll be hanging out like an hour before kickstands up and doing some stuff there, and then we're going to ride to Eureka Springs and have lunch and raise some money for a good cause. So if you want to help the kids, then and you're going to be at Spring Fling, then we'd love to have you come ride with us. I think they have capped it at 50 people. So my goal is to fill it up.
Good.
So 50 plus me and you.
I'll confirm, but I'm positive they're not going to tell you no.
Well,
Kyle's not going to tell you. Kyle's not going to tell you no.
I'm going to tell them they're not telling me no. I'm not saying I won't donate some money, but I'm not going to register to ride.
Right.
I'll just follow behind slowly.
5 a.m. does come early. Thank you for coming out and participating in the live and supporting the channel. We appreciate you guys. Yep. I really appreciate all you guys watching the videos and commenting. You guys have been here for years. Me and Jay Sorsby were talking the other day on the phone. The people are one of the best things about YouTube. The friendships we've made, the people that comment. I have people who message me or email me that, kind of on a consistent basis now. Well, what do you think about this? Have you seen that? Some of them we've met in person, Mike Bodine, we got to meet in person, River Buff Blaggers, JS, is somebody that, he knew me from YouTube and met him. And then he started doing a channel and we started doing stuff together and we're friends and we're going to stay friends no matter YouTube or not now, but we met him through that. Steve met me through YouTube. He saw me on YouTube first and then met me in an event.
Yep.
Chasing adventures.
And now he's let me sleep in his spare bedroom, and I hope he hasn't found that rag that we left underneath the mattress. All my bike friends from YouTube came from YouTube in some way or another. Well, that's just it. All right, guys, I'm going to go make me another refill so that I'm not up hacking and coughing all night like last night, keeping my wife awake. Maybe she won't make me sleep awake on the couch.
I was out.
Appreciate y'all signing in here and watching this and hanging out, and Jay and Chase being mods, although we weren't off the hook tonight, but we did have a good crowd there, 60, 70 people for a while. And, I'm pretty sure everybody's liking and subscribing in here already, but thank you, Chase. He's always got our back. And we'll see him at Spring Fling.
Yep.
Sure. That'll probably be, the biggest event that we'll see everybody at first, and then we'll have a lot of events after that. So we'll see how Spring Fling goes. We might even Angel Face Moto Rider was the one that was asking for you here a while back, April, when you weren't in the stream one night. She's got a quick question, so we'll stay on for that. But go ahead. But if this ride at Spring Fling goes well, then maybe we'll look at doing more of those kinds of stuff in the future when we go to events, a guided ride with people or something. If we can do something with charity. So I think I heard your guest in the panel say he was from Canada. Yes, that was Military Biker.
Yeah.
Not the guest in the panel, but in the chat. Steve's
Yeah.
not from Canada. So Military Biker is from Canada, Stevie. And
Now,
I
is
don't know if
he
he's still in the
originally
chat
from
here or not.
England? Is he from England?
I think he's from over the pond, and he was military, and
Yeah.
all that, and is in Canada. And now he's, I think, retired or just retired or something.
I mean, I haven't met him yet, but he seems like a great guy.
Early on in my YouTube days, I got on one of his live streams, one of the first live streams I ever got on, and he got me seriously shit-faced on a live. Passed out drunk, left my phone in the other room.
Hey, you weren't feeling any pain with Monkey the other night. I knew that right away.
Oh, yeah. So will we get another moto camp anytime soon? I don't know, Bowman. I need to figure that out. I think the first place we had it has not been that excited about the idea of having a bunch of bikers there again. There is a few other alternative places, including one at the lake. We could look at doing something, but I need to figure that out. Oh, yes. So she's been in one of Stevie's videos. So.
Cool.
But yeah, the moto camp things, we need to figure it out. I'd like to do that again. I'd like to do it somewhere on 19 though, because I think that's great riding. But the last one there were some good things about it, and there were some things for the road and stuff that was not quite as good. Yeah, Liverpool, England originally. Yep. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go make me another drink. I thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Maybe learn something about what the CVO RR is all about and where it fits into the lineup. And y'all stay safe. Keep on riding. We'll talk to you in the next one. We're out.